soar. Here I go, deep, deep, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul. Nothing to say, nowhere to go, nothing to do. I have promises to make, no one to know, nothing to prove. It's a strange sort of existence. Somehow it seems so true. The only thing I really know is that I don't know a thing. The only sound that I hear now is the silence when I sing. The only sight my eyes can see is the darkness of my dream. This is how I'm born to be empty. I know nothing is wrong, nothing is right. All is in all right now. Everything's gone. Ambition and fire. No expectations at all. It's a new kind of intention. Somehow it seems so right. The only thing I really know is that I don't know a thing. The only sound that I hear now is the silence when I sing. The only sight my eyes can see is the darkness of my dream. This is how I'm born to be. I'd be perfectly fine if I stay this way forever. Nothing on my mind, and I've never felt better. I don't know a thing. The only sound that I hear now is the silence when I sing. The only sight my eyes can see is the darkness of my dream. This is how I'm born to be.
Express the Christ within. And if anybody wants some instruments to play along up here, we're going to do the Joy Chant, so you might want to stand up. And you know this part that's got this call and answer all the way through, and then it's got this chorus. It goes, all of the joy and the love come into my life today. And the chorus is a little higher. It goes, all of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. So that's it. You've got it. I wake up and the sun is shining, makes the whole world bright. And all of the joy and the love come into my life today. A song of praise the birds are singing, singing with all their might. And all of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. A spring of healing light is risen within my soul. And all of the joy and the love come into my life today. I now am well, I now am healthy, I am well and whole. And all of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. My heart is full, my eyes are open, everything is clear. And all of the joy and the love come into my life today. There's just one presence, just one power, and it's love, not fear. And all of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. Invite it. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. Affirm it. All of the joy and the love come into my life today. 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 Yay. And so it is.
Good morning and welcome. Welcome to Unity of Gainesville, Florida, this wondrous Lenten spring day. May this service bless each of us with its message, music, and fellowship with other members as we walk the spiritual path together. Whether you are here in person, online, or simply in spirit, we are here now as one heart, one mind. This morning we are blessed to have as our musician, Kathy DeWitt. Our prayer chaplain up back is Dee Mitchell. Our AV tech, Shirley Morganson, both a new member to Unity and an even newer member to our, this is called our stream team. Gabe, myself, Phyllis, let's see, Shirley, and I'm missing someone. Alejandro, thank you, are on the stream team. This is what we're calling our AV live streaming team. And our board member on duty is Phyllis Shepard, who will be out in the gathering room. I am Rupali Robinson, and I will simply be guiding us through this morning's sacred time. First, I know there are newcomers here. If you would just simply put your hand up and let Dee bring you a packet, a welcome packet. So yes, just leave your hand up and wave. Dee and Barbara will bring you a packet. And some people I know came because of Kip, and I call her Weed. It's also Jane. Some people came because of our guest speaker, Dr. Paul, and some people came because members brought them. So I just want to say right here, we're just very delighted to see you all. And I am even more delighted to introduce the guest speaker for this morning, Dr. Paul Veliyathil. He and his wife, Judy, recently moved here to Gainesville. They are neighbors, I hear, of our church administrator, Gio, and her family. And I believe that's how Dr. Paul found us. Although this is our first time with us, it is his first time with us as a speaker, he has given frequent New Thought talks throughout South Florida. His talk today is intriguingly entitled, Fearful World, Fearless Living. Dr. Paul has had a long association with unity, even as he began his spiritual quest as a Roman Catholic priest. Additionally, he is a hospice chaplain, a mental health counselor, author, and teacher. He is a citizen of India by birth, a citizen of the United States by choice, and obviously a citizen of the world. He holds master's and doctorate degrees in theology and a master's in pastoral counseling. So I know that we are going to right now welcome this guest speaker this morning. Dr. Paul, will you please come up and do our opening prayer?
Oh, thank you. Let's say a prayer. Let's start with a prayer. Take a minute, if you can just close your eyes.
Make sure you're being heard because unfortunately we're dealing with YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom.
Okay, can you hear me now? Right, better. Yeah. Let's take a moment to, if you like, you can just close your eyes and take a deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Anything that may be bothering you this morning, any anxieties that you may have, and just breathe in the Spirit all around us, the Divine Spirit, and feel relaxed. We are safe in this place. O Lord, Creator of the universe, thank you. Thank you for creating us with your divine life flowing through us. On this Sunday, may we be aflame with love for you. We unite ourselves with all those who have set aside this day as holy, as we lift our hearts to you in prayer. Thank you for reminding us that we are created to live in a material world with a spiritual mind. That we are supposed to be in the world but not of the world. Forgive us for being too concerned with material stuff, too immersed in temporal concerns, and more preoccupied with mundane issues. Help us to engage in regular spiritual practices so that we can taste the peace and joy of the fifth dimension. Yes. And let it invade and inhabit all the areas of our lives. Amen.
Amen.
Amen, 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 and welcome.
Amen. Amen.
So, do I go straight in or you have to say something?
I get to do the announcements and acknowledgements next, and then
Okay.
Kathy does the a song, and then we will be moving forward from there. Okay. I want to start with acknowledging how well loved the church property feels and looks today. Yesterday, from 8 to 12:30, was one of our first yard days of 2022, and many, I and others, offered themselves. Would you stand, please, right now, if you were part of this work team? I can read names as well, but just stand. Come on, Alejandro, I know you were here. Rolando, Gio, Shirley, Paul, Bonnie, and myself. Who else was there? Okay, we also have Hershon. Are you standing? He was here. Oh my, he won't even be recognized. Okay, thank you so much. Steve Greeno. Who else? Lori was here. Steve Greeno is somewhere on the property. He was here helping actually organize it. Steve Henry was here. Yes, and Bill helped power wash. So I've got to tell you, after our labors, we chose to connect with each other here, actually one of the back rooms, sharing Pompadoro pizzas and salads. It was a beautiful day that Steve Greeno and others organized. And, there will be more yard days, so please just check the website and Unity Messenger. The Unity Messenger is edited very ably, beautifully by Sue Henry Young. And if you want to know more about ongoing classes and events, please go to those two sources. If you are not subscribed to the Unity Messenger, you do not get it every Friday. If you do, you get it every Friday in your email. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, just see me at the end, and I'll help you out with that. Another acknowledgement is to our newly elected Board of Trustees 2022 and its new officers. So if you are a board member of the 2022, please come in. Let me go get one of them. Phyllis, come on in. So at this point, Phyllis is outside as the, like I mentioned, the board on duty member. And Phyllis is going to be, no, she's not in the room yet. Come on, Phyllis. Here comes Phyllis. Phyllis is going to be our new treasurer. I'm sorry, new secretary. Misty in absentia right now, and you know who he is because he is a beloved person. He's been here in Unity since childhood. His mother ran the Youth of Unity programs here. Gabe Coleman is in Austin, Texas right now. He is our youngest trustee, and he rarely misses Sundays, but because of his work with the University of Florida, he is in Texas. We are also grateful for Jackie Tatum, who is going to continue, thank you very much, as our treasurer. And she is at her new retirement home on Lake Broward. As you know, she moved down there a few years back. And myself, I am the vice president, and then that brings us to Bonnie Kilgauer, who is going to be our president. This is the new moment. Now, Bonnie, I'm not going to use you quite yet. I'm going to bring you up here. You can sit right here. Stay close, because I need to do the rest of the quickies here. Hersan, another final acknowledgement. He has been after our services on offering haircuts, professional haircuts, for he has over 30 years of experience. He is then generously returning the love donation of $15 back to our ministry as a tithe. Yeah. And we're very grateful for that. Our next generation of unity, NGU, is hosting, that it would be Gabe Coleman's group, a retreat next weekend. Summer, you should hear me, if this would work for you. March 25th through 27th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Gabe is our NGU facilitator, and he is asking for 2 lunches and a dinner to be provided by the congregants. Again, I can give you more information on this. The NGU also is going to be supporting the service. They may be running the whole service on the 27th. And I am part of the NGU. Now, I know I don't look like a young youth. I am 75, but I am part of this group. I have been since they went online. And I was an invited guest, and I've been there ever since. I'm very, very blessed to be with these young people. As you saw today, golf cart is back in service, assisting people to come from the parking lot to the door. So please think about volunteering to drive it. It simply means being at church at 10:30. Questions? See Steve. And then after service, please, please, please know that Dee is available here. This little room over here is called the library, and it's the room right after the kitchen door. Please join her for prayer. Prayer can be joyful, as in acknowledging all the good in your life. Prayer can be that of support. Just know prayer in unity is used as an essential practice. And now, Bonnie is going to tell us a few words regarding the polling on the masking issue that was taken last week. That polling was done online, on Zoom, and in person.
Hello, everybody. While I'm talking, I have this really professional little bag with little slips in it. Please take one because we're going to ask you to write one word on it when I'm finished. Can you hear me?
No, you gotta hold it this way,
Like this?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. All right. What are we doing? Passing this around? Just take one and pass it around. If you're not a member of the church, just pass it on, please. Or if you intend to become a member, you may want to take one. So I'm going to read you what was voted on. And you checked one of these. I will only come to church if all are masked. The second one, I am comfortable being in church, not wearing a mask. The last one, I'm comfortable wearing a mask at church and do not need to be, I am comfortable wearing a mask at church. But those were the things. And we had quite a few people because the people online voted too. And it was actually overwhelming, the number of people who said they felt comfortable not wearing a mask. So, well, wait, I'm not finished yet. And the other part of that, and that's why we're asking you to vote again with more information, is that we had a smaller number of people who said they would not attend church if we weren't masked. So I'm simply asking you guys to, and I need to read this because I never remember what I'm supposed to say. Yes, I will be, yes. If this is yes, this is what it means. I will be willing to wear a mask and let the board check on a monthly basis for state and federal guidelines of wearing masks. That would be yes. I'll read it again. I will be willing to wear a mask and let the board check on a monthly basis for state and federal guidelines. So on no, I prefer to not wear a mask. That would be no. I prefer to not wear a mask. So whatever you guys decide is what we're going to do. And the board felt it was important to bring it back and let everybody know what sort of the ramifications are.
Say the instruction to write one word on the slip of paper.
One word on a slip of paper. We want you to write yes or no. If it's no, it is I prefer to not wear a mask. If it's yes, I will be willing to wear a mask and let the board check on a monthly basis for state and federal guidelines. One more time as you're writing. Yes, am willing to wear a mask and let the board check on a monthly basis for state and federal guidelines. If you vote yes, that means we'll continue to wear a mask until the CDC or whatever it is says it's okay, we're good. No is I prefer to not wear a mask. Is everybody clear?
Yeah. You don't have to. You don't have to turn them in now. You can put them in the basket later, because
Yes.
we're taking up a lot of time with this.
Think about it and put it in the basket.
So a no means that we're not wearing masks. A yes means we continue wearing masks. Let's make that very simple. A no means we're not going to be wearing masks, and a yes means that we are going to continue wearing masks. And what it's like, the issue that arises is to maintain the various variables, variables of preference, variables of continuity with the state and federal guidelines. That's all we're trying to establish. Where we as a congregation are in relationship to the whole, called, okay, federal and state. So I'll say that again. No means we can release the masks, and those who want to continue wearing them do. Those that need to wear them do.
We know.
Okay, there we go. Let's allow Miss Summer to do her piece. Summer Small is going to do our daily word today.
Yay.
Hello.
Hi.
So happy to be here. I've enjoyed reading to my friends out of books for a long time. I've never done it in a microphone, though, so that's exciting.
Get it up higher.
Okay, up higher. That's better? Yeah. Great. Today's daily word is positivity. And our affirmation is, I plant seeds of positivity and harvest joy. We can say it together if you want. I plant seeds of positivity and harvest joy. Okay. And today's scripture comes from Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, think about these things. I always say a good way to look at it is the best way to look at it. Okay. And then it goes. Okay, so every gardener knows that blooms grow best in good soil. Even before planting, it's good practice to pull the weeds and prepare the soil, giving the seeds the optimal conditions in which to grow. Today, I tend the garden of my consciousness. I pull the weeds of worrisome and unforgiving thoughts by denying they have any power over me. I create a fertile environment for new, positive thoughts to grow through regular prayer and meditation. When I touch that place of infinite stillness and peace, I affirm wholeness, prosperity, happiness, and security for my life. Like bright, beautiful flowers, these positive thoughts bloom and grow in my consciousness. Seeds of positivity, and I harvest joy.
One verse of this song we've been singing this month, Surrender, the morning song by Karen Drucker, David Roth, and Faith Rivera. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith.
And I am
And I
stronger.
am stronger every moment, every day. And I am grateful every moment, every day. And I am kinder every moment, every day.
I'd like to thank you for this opportunity this morning to share with you. First of all, I'd like to start with a little story. This is the story of a retired minister. You know, he had so much time on his hand, so he decided to rearrange his closet. So in their bedroom closet, he noticed a shoebox, which he had never seen before. So he opened it, and it contained 3 eggs and hundreds of dollars. So he was curious about it and asked his wife. She said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, in the last 35 years, every time you preached a bad sermon, I placed an egg in the box." So he said to himself, 35 years of preaching, 3 bad sermons, not a bad record. He felt so proud about himself. And then he said to his wife, "But that explains the eggs. What about the dollars?" And the wife sheepishly said, "Every time I had a dozen eggs, I sold them for $1. I'm a retired minister. My wife is a director. I have not found a box yet, but never know. Yeah, she might still find. I was so excited when Pastor Betty asked me to speak, because that is the one thing I missed after moving to Gainesville 5 months ago. We moved here to be near our son, younger son, Tommy, and his girlfriend, Denise, was sitting right there. Raise your hands, guys. Yeah, so, and also to be closer to our other son, who's 29. He has autism, and we placed him in a nice little residential place in St. Augustine. As a bonus to moving to Gainesville, we go to live near Gio and Rolando and Alejandro, who, by the way, was in Miami. He woke up this morning at 4:30 to drive up here so that he can listen to me. Where is he? That's the kind of love I am talking about. So we got a bonus to live here. They are our old neighbors from Florida, South Florida, who moved to Gainesville a year ago. And Gio happens to be the boss here, I hear, right? No, she's saying no. Okay. So when Betty told me that the theme for this month is managing fear, I was ready to go, because I had 2 sermons on fear that I had preached before. So I took them out and looked through it, and I said, it doesn't fit our current situation of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the national anxiety, regarding gas prices, fears about the possibility of a nuclear war, the horror of watching Ukrainian cities, and the terror on the faces of people fleeing the country. So how do we manage our fears in the midst of so much horror? If you're watching TV or reading papers, you may not be aware of the seriousness of this conflict, which is described as the biggest tragedy in Europe since the Second World War. Comparing it to the Second World War may not mean much to us because none of us sitting here have a direct experience of that war. And Al, you were not there, right? Even though he's younger, the youngest of the crowd here, he was at the Korean War, right? You were at the Korean War. So nobody has seen. So we read about the Second World War from history books, but reading history books is not the same as seeing it in real time, which we are doing right now. So we don't have the luxury of ignoring the intense pain and the untold suffering of our brothers and sisters up there, because we are sitting in a unity church. We are supposed to be in unity with humanity. So we have all the more reason to be kind of thinking about them and praying about them, because my previous sermons that I told you about were dealing with low-grade fears, such as fear of flying, fear of uncertainty, fear of aging, fear of not having enough money in retirement, fear of getting sick. I don't have any of those fears, actually. My biggest fear was not even a real fear. I'm even embarrassed to talk about that here today compared to what is going on in the world. But Carol is looking here. What is his fear really? So I'm going to say it anyway. So, fear of elevators. Claustrophobia, that's the only fear I have. Because it feels like, especially when I was in South Florida, we had some old buildings with this very small elevators creaking when you go. It felt like coffins. So that's the only fear I have. Because all our fears, whatever fears we may have today, should be relegated to the background as we face existential fears related to the Ukrainian war. There is talk about World War III. There is fear of Putin might use nuclear weapons. Nobody really knows what an angry tyrant might do, because he has 6,000 warheads, and all he needs is 6 to destroy the entire world. So now that I have scared you enough, let me digress. I'll share with you some ideas about dealing with these specific fears at the end of the sermon, because if I were to tell you now, then it will be over in 2 minutes. So we have to be here for a few minutes more, right? So let me digress. I have lived in the United States for 33 years. During those years, I have noticed a significant increase in the level of fear and social anxiety and animosity. When I was growing up in India in the early 60s, I thought of America as this faraway place with nice, white, rich people. Because the only Americans I was exposed to were tourists and missionaries. And they were nice, white, and rich. And we had no TV. So I had no opportunity to see the other side of the American life. I visited the USA for the first time in 1982. Guess what? Where it was? Disney World. The happiest place on earth. You still don't see the sadness of the nation in a place like Magic Kingdom. Right? That was 40 years ago. I'm getting old. So I still remember catching a flight from Toronto to New York to meet my future wife in 1988. I walked straight to the airline counter at the gate and got my boarding pass. There was no checkpoints, no removing my shoes or belt, no suspicious look from TSA agents, no pat-downs, no stress. It was fun to fly, right? Some of you remember those days. These days, I dread flying. You know, you heard about the 4,000 cases of air rage in 2022 alone. You know, passengers fighting with flight attendants because of mostly mask mandate, pandemic. There's a lot of anger and aggression and anxiety, and all those feelings and behaviors are related to the primary emotion, which is fear. It all boils down to fear. September 11, 2001 was a huge turning point in the history of this nation. It fundamentally changed the character of America from being a friendly, hospitable, and amiable place to a fearful, hostile, and anxious nation. You know, we began looking at people, especially Muslims, with suspicion and fear. Islamophobia was added to the list of fears. Fear of immigrants rose to the level of building or raising a wall at our southern border. See something, say something became our national security slogan. Protecting the homeland became the priority, and we created a new agency, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, with the name in it. And we have 250,000 employees watching every move of every citizen, right? Gun sales have gone up 300% in recent years. Everyone is afraid of someone or something else. You know, the sales of security cameras have gone up 1,000%. It is hard to find a place where there is no cameras watching you, because that comes from suspicion. And somebody is going to do something to somebody, right? If you watch certain TV channels or go on social media, you can see the level of animosity, partisanship, and hatred, and name-calling. Again, fear is at the root of all those behaviors and feelings. Many people live with a disease called mean world syndrome. That phrase was coined by George Gerbner, a researcher at the University of Pennsylvania. He found that since we've witnessed so much news, bad news on TV, we come to believe that the world is a scary and ominous place, filled with danger. And as a result, our first reaction to people is suspicion rather than compassion. When we assume that we are always at risk, we will treat others as potential threats. That's how that works. I have a friend, South Florida is named, let's call him Jim, right? He always talks about the risks of living in a crazy world. That's his phrase. He uses so much modern technology to protect himself and his family. His latest gadget is a mini camera attached to the rear view mirror of his car. Okay? So he wanted to see, record anybody who might scratch his car when he's parked and then leave. You had experiences like that, right? He has, so he wants to protect himself from drivers who might hit and run. And you know who it is? He has installed 4 cameras around his house. and he's watching in the office on the app. I mean, that raises the level of just suspicion, right? He has LifeLock to protect his identity. He has a gun in his house and a gun in his glove box, in the car. So he always talks about the rough world out there and the crazy people who are sick and dangerous. I don't have any of those protections, and I have no intention to acquire any of them. Life is so fragile to begin with. And there is no man-made gadget that can protect you from all eventualities of life. There's nothing out there. So I don't protect myself with any man-made gadgets. I refuse to live in fear, being paranoid about other people. First of all, I refuse to label other human beings who are my brothers and sisters as crazy and dangerous. I'll never use those two words to describe people, except maybe Carol sometimes. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, I know. I'm just picking on it to make it, because we're talking about fearful stuff. So we have to lighten it up, right? So, because as soon as you see other people as crazy and dangerous, your brain activates the fight and the flight response. Your defenses go up, your blood pressure rises, your stress hormone, cortisol, is filling your system, making you really uncomfortable and nervous. And that is no way to live. That's no way to live. So I believe in divine protection, and it works. What I mean by divine protection is not about, a God up there protecting me and defending me. I'm talking about the God within me acting as a protective shield. Let me explain what it is and how it works. It's free, no equipment to buy, and no installation is required. There is no monthly service fee that has to be conveniently charged to your credit card. So the device is already here. We are born into this world pre-installed with it. It is called our soul, or our spirit, or the image of God within us. We are created in the image and likeness of God. People all repeat that phrase, but I wonder if they really know how that works. In technical language, the young people will like it, I see the image of God in us as the divine app. Okay. Another name for it's called the divine spark. You don't have to download it, but you have to activate it and use it. It's like, look at the apps in your phone. I have 127 apps on my phone, but I only use about 3 or 4 of them. The rest is just there. Some of them are napping, right, Alejandro? They nap at the back. He's the tech guy here, right? So the divine app is something like that. Everybody has it, but only few people use it. For a lot of people, it's not activated. So how do you activate your divine spark? One of the best ways and the easiest ways and the cheapest way anybody can do it anytime is a smile. That's it. When you smile, you're activating, because the smile comes from a deeper place. Because you cannot be afraid and smiling at the same time. Try it. You can't do that. So, a smile on your face is a telltale sign of a sparkling soul. So when the divine spark is sparkling inside, two things will happen. First of all, the spark in you will remove the darkness around you. That's normal. It's like you flip the switch and then darkness goes away, right? Secondly, you will see the spark in other people. So if you see another human being as a divine spark, you are likely to be relaxed and free in his presence. On the other hand, if you label him crazy and dangerous and a sinner, you're going to be fearful. Let me give you an example. Gio and Rolando are our best friends in Gainesville so far. Underline the last 4 words, in Gainesville so far. Right? I'm just kidding you guys. You know that. Carol and Al are our best neighbors in Gainesville so far. So, I'm just kidding. Just making you feel. And then there is Tommy and Benice. Our son and... You know, when Judy and I are in the presence of these humans, our souls are sparkling 100% capacity because we are relaxed. We know them. There is trust. There is love. There is affection. Alejandro, you're included, even though I didn't say that. And his sister, who just has a baby, Andrea with a Finnan, this little kid. When we are surrounded by them, and I know you have those experiences. I have 5 men, and we have been part of a men's group, spiritual support group in South Florida, and we have been friends for almost 20 years, and we gather once a month just to talk and to share. And when we are surrounded in that group, all our defenses are down because we trust those people. We love them, right? My wife Judy has a group of women that she's close with for 29 years, from the time our first child was born. It's a mommy and me group, and 2 of them came to Gainesville to visit a month ago, and I was kicked out of the house because they wanted to yak and yak and yak for all night. So what I'm trying to say is, when you are with people you love, right, you are not fearful. I can't imagine being fearful in that company, right? So why are you fearful in the outside world? Because you're suspicious. You don't know them. And one of the best ways to bridge that gap, if you are in a mall, if you're outside with people that you think are strangers, the Dalai Lama said, strangers are family you haven't met yet. So that, to me, is the best way to eradicate fear. And I think we should aim to be sparkling. Our soul should be sparkling a minimum 60% all the time. Maybe more. I mean, look at this congregation right here. Everybody in this room, nobody is afraid because we are surrounded by. It's an inside job. What we see out there is actually a reflection of who you are inside here. We see the world not as it is, but as how we are. Wayne Dyer, he puts it so beautifully. He said, a happy person lives in a happy world. A miserable person lives in a miserable world. So imagine 2 houses in your neighborhood. One of them has light, inside and outside, and the next one is pitch dark. Which house do you think has the likelihood of somebody burglarizing it? Right? It's a rhetorical question. So if your divine app is working, if your soul is sparkling, if your light is on, the likelihood of anyone attacking you is very low. So, how do we deal with our personal and international fears associated with this war in Ukraine? This is what I promised at the beginning, right? I see 4 practical things that we can do right now. Number 1, look at the fears of the Ukrainian people as a reference point for all your fears. That's the benchmark, right? 3 million Ukrainians have fled the country. Imagine that you have to just pack a plastic bag, and leave Gainesville and goes to Mexico tomorrow. I mean, imagine. We can't even imagine. I don't think I can even do it. I'll just get a heart attack and die rather than go, right? Yeah. 6 million people displaced within the country, sitting in bomb shelters, worrying about if they're going to live or die. So if you can feel compassion for what is happening to them, all your fears will instantly disappear. If you can break your heart on their behalf, you can mend your heart in that process. Because it may sound counterintuitive, right? How do you break and mend? It's the age-old Christian principle. You die and you rise. You lose and you find. Feeling another's pain is the best medicine for healing your pain. Think of the thousands of people hiding in bunkers and shelters, worrying if they will live or die. Think of the people whose body parts are blown apart by cluster bombs and shrapnel piercing through their lungs. So the other day, I was walking in my neighborhood. I usually go for a walk in the evening all by myself, just to meditate, to pray. And I started wailing. Started crying loudly, and watched if anybody is watching, and nobody was around. Meadow Brooks, where I live, there's no humans walk after 6 o'clock usually. So I'm one of the exceptions. So I was walking and I started crying, and I was thinking of that pregnant woman photo. I don't know, how many of you saw that photo? Here is a pregnant woman lying on a gurney in the middle of the street, debris and dust on her body, and her pregnant belly was even exposed. It's a horrible, painful sight to see. It was in the papers. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about my own sister, right? Or my own cousins or nieces and nephews, or any woman. Pregnancy, I have the hugest veneration and admiration for pregnant, because there's a life there, right? She was lying there helpless, so I was just crying. The agony of her death that she was feeling, and the trauma the baby must have felt, because the trauma of a mother just goes directly to the baby. Right? Before the war started, I used to get anxious about the sudden fluctuations in the stock market and worried about my retirement account. I have not paid attention to the market in 4 weeks, or checked my balance of my IRA. It doesn't matter. I don't care if my account goes to 0 if this horrible war can end. I don't care if the gas prices goes to $10, if the fear of nuclear war can just go away. So all my previously magnified irritations and frustrations of life have disappeared from my mind overnight. So the second thing, of course, you can do is, decrease the war anxiety, is to help victims of war by financial donation to relief agencies. The third thing you can do is to relieve these fears is to donate blood to Red Cross if you can. Because there's an article in New York Times, which somebody that I love gives me for free. The science of helping out during a crisis. That's the title. And the author says, the people who cope best are those who help others. There's a lot of evidence that one of the best anti-anxiety medications available is generosity. It's from the article. And the fourth thing you can do is, when you pump gas into your car these days, be generous with your thoughts. Don't get angry, don't get upset and curse the oil companies, or the war. Think of the extra money that you have to spend as a donation to the victims of war. Thank God you have a car and that you can drive anywhere you want, anytime you want, without being afraid of some missile hitting it and you being killed. To me, that's huge. Every time I go on 39th Avenue, I said, beautiful road surrounded by trees. Thank you, Jesus. Because you could be in Ukraine, right? Think of the response. This is really caught my heart. It says, the husband and the father of that pregnant woman, who, by the way, died, they came to claim her body. And they said, this is what they said. It was on news. It said, we are grateful her body was not thrown into a mass grave in the woods. Grateful? That will stay with me for a long, long time. We are grateful that the body was not thrown, forgetting about all the agony that they had. Jesus repeatedly said to his disciples, be not afraid. Let not your hearts be troubled. He said, trust in me and trust in my Father. And 1,000 years before Jesus, the psalmist, this is Psalm 27, which is one of my favorites, and there's a beautiful line in it. It says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? That light is in you. The Lord has left a little spark in you. As long as you keep that sparkling, especially look at Rupali. Her mask is sparkling this morning. When I saw that, when I watched, I said, this is good. This is a good prompting. Look at that. You want to show it to them? So that's what I'm talking about. The divine spark within you is God with you all the time. That's how I feel. So I have no fears. I have, except for elevators, which I don't have to climb anymore because we are on flat ground. So the best way to get through these days is keep that spark, your divine spark, sparkling. Keep that sparkling. And it will serve you as the best protection. It's like a defensive shield. I've seen it all the time. It works for me. It has worked for me all my life, especially for the last 30 years, because I was sleepwalking through life before that. But once I got the shift in consciousness, that's what Unity talks about all the time. Hopefully I'll have a chance to tell you about that later, if they call me back. But anyway, keep that spark. Because no other app that you can purchase is going to help you. Because there is so much to guard against, then who else has got that kind of strength to do that to you other than the divine, which gave you a little bit of that. That's the image of God. So let's pray and meditate for the next couple of minutes. I think Kathy is going to sing a song. It's my favorite song when it comes to fear. It's called Be Not Afraid. So Kathy is going to sing it. You don't have to sing it. You can just listen to the words of that song and just pray in your heart and just relax and take a deep breath.
You shall cross the barren desert, but you shall not die of thirst. You shall wander far in safety, though you do not know the way. You shall speak your words to foreign lands, and they will understand. You shall see the face of God and live. Be not afraid. I go before you always. Come, follow me, and I will give you rest. If you pass through raging waters in the sea, you shall not drown. If you walk amid the burning flames, you shall not be harmed. If you stand before the power of hell, and death is at your side, know that I am with you through it all. Be not afraid. I go before you always. Come, follow me, and I will give you rest. And blessed are your poor, for the kingdom shall be theirs. Blessed are you that weep and mourn, for one day you shall laugh. And if wicked men insult and hate you, all because of me, blessed, blessed are you. Be not afraid. I go before you always. Come, follow me, and I will give you rest.
Namaste. The divine in me sees the divine in you. May we all take this understanding that we are the spark of God. It is us. We are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is the time that we offer back to the place of our spiritual food that we call Unity of Gainesville. Embracing that spiritual principle that is expressed in Luke 6:28, give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and flowing over. So please take your love offering, place it in your hand, place it on your heart, and repeat after me. Divine love,
Divine love,
expressing in me,
resting in me,
through me,
through me,
as me, blesses and multiplies
blesses and multiplies
all that I have,
all that I have,
all that I give,
all that I give,
and all that I receive.
and all that I receive.
If you are on Zoom or Facebook or YouTube, you can give electronically through our website, unitygainesville.org. Please note no of, or you will be gifting a church in Georgia. For real, there's another one in Georgia that is Unity of Gainesville. So it's just Unity Gainesville. I didn't miss a word there. I intentionally said 2 words back to back, unitygainesville.org. Affirming the continued growth and prosperity of our ministry. I want you to look on the website for our prayer. I'm not taking time for it right now. It is the prosperity prayer that is honoring how richly blessed we are, for we are in that flow of the divine good, and we accept that good, and we attract that good, for indeed we are loving, healthy, and prosperous. That beautiful prayer in its perfection is on our website. And now we do have Miss Gwen, and we do have children to come in, and they will show us what they have learned today.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
I'd like you to welcome back Donna. She has sung here before. And her 2-year-old daughter, Myra, who's a big girl, too, aren't you? And Resin, of course, our in-house singer. And today our lesson was on strength. And we had the story of David and Goliath. And we took that story and we took a toothpick and we were able to break that toothpick very easily by itself. But when we put that toothpick together and put a rubber band around it, showing who gives us that strength, Resin?
Is it a fill-in?
We found out with God, you can't break the sticks. God gives us our strength, right?
And if you would stand, please, and we will do our blessing for the children. And we also then will form a circle, and we will be singing out the peace song and then speaking the prayer of protection. And so at this point, let's do our children's song. We love you, we really, really love you. Mwah. And for those of you that wonder why I didn't start where it begins, it's because we're cutting time. We're a little over today. And yes, I know that doesn't go quite that way. Kathy, you're on, honey.
All right, we'll make a circle and sing the peace song. If you don't know it, it's in the book on page 3 in the hymn book. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God that surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let's give a hand to Dr. Paul.